the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken originally by Ananta Shesha to four Kumaras, was in four verses form. That's 33, 34, 35, 36. And when Narada instructed Vyasa, the blessings and instructions and guidance of Narada, elaborated this four into 18,000 verses, which is pretty interesting. So the essence, like many of you must have heard that the Gayatri mantra is the Bij mantra of this creation. From that one mantra came out everything. So same way, this four verses, like we have Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, this is Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Anything and everything that we understand, this is the core basis. So like there are two aspects of Srimad Bhagavatam. Once this was done, expanded into 18,000 verses, the next what happened was we need to have a Sutra Versa. So the Sutra Versa is in one particular verse called Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Rirayanti Yuge Yuge. So once these four verses were expanded into 18,000, the eye or the vision to understand the entire Srimad Bhagavatam 18,000 verses lies in the epilogue or the prelude called Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swam. So with this, we will begin today's class. We'll pray to the Lord that may He give us that understanding by which we can improve upon our bhakti and service to the Lord and the devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyayat. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Devaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Aham eva samevagre nanyadhyat sadasatparam paschadaham yadetacha yo vaishesyati somya samaham. So the personality of Godhead, he says, Aham, I, the personality of Godhead, certainly existed only before the creation. So somebody can read the translation now.
Yes, Prabhu. Brahma, it is I, the personality of the Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is I, the personality of the Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of the Godhead. We should know, I should go para by para, Prabhu?
Yeah. So what we do is that I have done some reading on this. I will take the key points since this is a very long this reading. So what happens in the first paragraph is that I will go by certain lines. I will read it myself. No worries.
नहीं
We
मैं
should
पढ़
know.
देता हूँ प्रभु आपको ज्यादा लंबा है भाई
ठीक है, आप फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ पढ़ लीजिए, then we will go by it.
We should note very carefully that the personality of the Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he, the personality of the Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is he only who maintains the creation, and it is he only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord. The principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in this verse. Accepting the argument of the impersonalist, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I and that the Brahma is the created I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the denominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's even accepting the argument of the impersonalist. But we must note carefully that that these two I's are accepted in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, in the sense of quality. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityanam Chetana Chetasam Eko Bahu Nam Yu Vidanti Kaman. The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one because both of them are Nityas and Chetnas. But,
Chetanas.
but the singular I is the creator and the created I are the plural number because there are many I's like Brahma and those generated by Brahma. It is the simple truth. The father creates or begets a son, and the son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings. But at the same time, from the father, the son and the grandsons are all different. The son cannot take the place of the father, nor can the grandsons. Similarly, the father, the son, and the grandson are one and different also. As human beings, they are one, but as relatives, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the creator and the created, or the predominant denominator or the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated I's, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of I.
Just go down just a minute. Let me see what is the next para. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. So we will read this one para also and then we'll start the discussion, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and the Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predenominator and the predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalist that in the ultimate issue, everything is impersonal. This impersonal feature, stressed by less intelligent impersonalist school, is refuted by pointing out that the predenominator is the absolute truth, and he is a person. The predenominated I, Brahma, is also a person, but he is not the absolute. For realization of oneself in spiritual psychology, it may be convenient to assume oneself to be the same principle as the absolute truth. But there is always the difference of the predominated and the predominator, as clearly pointed out here in this verse, which is grossly misused by the impersonalists. Brahma is factually seeing face to face his predominator Lord, who exists in his transcendental eternal form even after the annihilation of the material creation. The form of the Lord, as seen by Brahma, existed before the creation of Brahma, and the material manifestation with all his ingredients and agents of material creation are also energetic expansions of the Lord. And after the exhibition of the Lord's energy comes to a close, which remains in the same personality of the Godhead. Therefore, the form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The Vedic hymns confirm this fact in the statement Vasudevo Vedidam Agra Asin na Brahma, na Shankara, Eko Narayan, Asin na Brahma, Nisana, etc. Before the creation, there was none except Vasudev. There was neither Brahma nor Shankar. Only Narayan was there and no one else, neither Brahma nor Isana. Sripad Shankaracharya also confirms in his comments on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, or the personality of the Godhead is transcendental in all creation, but that the whole creation is the product of Avyakt. Therefore, the difference between the created and the creator is always there, although both the creator and the created are of the same quality.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. It was very nice that you read the entire thing. So we need to understand one point over here, which has been made by the Lord straight away. The Lord says that Aham eva sare agre. It is I only who was there before creation, through the creation, and after the creation, and nothing else is there. Now, the impersonalist feature aspect is that I am God, you are God, he is God, she is God, everyone is God, because qualitatively we are equal to the Lord. Because what comes from the Lord has to be the same quality. So, the Atma and the Paramatma, the Brahma and the Parabrahma, qualitatively they are one. But what about the size and what about the power? They are definitely not the same. It is just like, you go to the Pacific Ocean and stand there, or you go to the Indian Ocean and stand there, or Atlantic Ocean. The volume of the water, the power of the water, the way how the entire ocean functions, I am sure when you saw the tsunami videos, you could understand that what was the power of the water. Now do one thing. You take a glass, go to the Pacific Ocean, remove the water in that glass. So will that water be able to give the same destruction as tsunami? Does it have the power, Prabhus and Matajis? What do you say?
No.
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji.
No chance. But qualitatively, both are same.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
If I check make a chemical analysis in the laboratory, the water from the Pacific Ocean is the same as the one glass of water from Pacific. So same way, we are Anu, the Lord is Vibhu. So there is a creator and there is a created. There is a predominator and there is a predominant. So one who is predominated is subservient to the predominator. Though the qualitatively we are all human beings. But grandfather remains grandfather, father remains father, grandson remains grandson. The position cannot be interpolated. Next, what it says is that when the Lord says, I was there, I am there, and I will only be there post creation, it's a very significant statement made by the Lord. So the very point that everything is one, Aham Brahmasmi. The statement starts from the Vedanta Sutra called Aham Brahmasmi. I am the soul, I am the spirit soul. Yes, but you are not the super soul. So you have Ishwar, Maheshwar, Parmeshwar. Three aspects of the Lord. Okay. So Ishwar means you can be Ishwar, I can be Ishwar. Ishwar means one who controls. Like if you are the head of the family, husband, wife, and two children, or there is say your father is there, your mother is there, your brothers and sisters are there, and you are there, all married. It's a complete joint family. So who's the Ishwar of the family? The Ishwar of the family is the grandfather. Same way, the grandchild cannot take the position of the grandfather. So he is one of the Ishwaras. Similarly, on top of him, there is a society and there will be a society and there will be a controller. Say Panchayat is there. So who's the head of the Panchayat? The Patil is there. Same way, then you come to the state, the chief minister, then the governor, then you come to the country, the prime minister, then you come to the superpower, the US or the UK, Russia. So there are multiple levels of Ishwaras. But eventually, there is a Satyam Param Dhimahi. There is an absolute, controller. And that is different. So that is the reason it is mentioned here that the predominator I is the absolute truth and he is a person. Because if you are not a person, how you are going to control other persons? You yourself don't have the quality of being, having a form, and you're going to control the formed people. That's the reason it says absolute truth. So let's see what do you mean by the word absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, if you open the first canto and it says, the conception of the God and the conception of absolute truth is not on the same level. The conception of the God and the conception of the absolute truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam Param means Param Satya. We are all Satya. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means the eternal aspect. But there is a supreme eternal. That is the Lord. And what it says, the conception of the God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth indicates the summum bonum or the ultimate source of energy. Now, this particular statement comes from this particular verse. So Srila Prabhupada beautifully writes in the introduction itself that the aham evamase agre is nothing but the supreme truth. And then what it says, there is no difference of opinion about the personal feature of the God as a controller, because controller cannot be impersonal. For example, I want to ask you one question. We are all governed by the laws of UAE. But who is the one who puts that law? Isn't it Sheikh Mohammed right now? Is it Sheikh Mohammed or not? What do you say?
Yes, Prabhu.
So he is personal or impersonal?
Personal.
But the municipality, the police, the army, that is impersonal, right? Because it does not have a face. It has a system. The system is faceless, but behind the
Yeah.
system, there is a face. There is a
Yes.
brain, and he is having a form. So this is how you understand the personal and the impersonal feature. So to begin with, a person who is not having much knowledge or who is very novice, he will say that, wow, Dubai is running so beautifully. The systems are so good. There is so much of automation. There is so much of thought process. Well, where is the thought process coming from? It has to be a person. So this is completely refuted in this particular, purport by Srila Prabhupada, that the form of the Lord as seen by the Brahma existed before the creation of Brahma. So there is a beautiful verse. So do you all know how did the Lord reside before the creation? What was his form? Any takers from over here? That what was the form of the Lord?
Prabhu, he lie down in the Karan Sagar.
Yes, Karana Sagar, but as what? That's a good one. You're almost there. There is a verse.
Mahavishnu, Aruna Daksha Vishnu.
No, there is a beautiful verse. Kararabindena padarabindam mukharabindena viniveshayantam
Kamal Patram.
patrasya pute shayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami. So
Kamal
you remember that photo where a baby Krishna is on a banyan tree leaf and is floating on the water. That is the form of the Lord, whether he so there is no impersonal feature of the Lord. But the Lord covers his personal feature by the Brahma Jyoti. And he Krishna says that he says, Naham Prakashasya Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritaha. In Bhagavad Gita, he says that I am not to be seen by everybody, and I have the right to not show myself. Like I told you that the systems, the government is functioning, but Sheikh Mohammed has a right whether to show himself or not. Whether I may agree or not, but the government is formless, but behind the formless government, there is a personality who is running the government. So our process starts with you enter Dubai or you enter India and you see the systems in its place first. So when there is a system running, then you know there is a set of instructions to run the system. So when you know that the instructions are there, instructions cannot be in itself. An instruction cannot take a form when required. There has to be a formed personality who is already giving this instruction. And that is the reason there is a beautiful verse in the Isha Upanishad. It says that the 15th verse, it says, Hiranyamayana patrena satya sapahitam mukham. See what it says? Hiranyamayana patrena. There is so much of golden effulgence. There is so much of wonderful Brahma Jyoti coming out, which is giving me the peace. But behind that, satya sapahitam mukham. Please show me your face. O Supreme Truth, you are covering with that. Please show me your face. So the moment when you say that there is a face, then it goes to show that there is a form. So the Lord, sustainer of all life, your real face is covered by a dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So this is the prayer by the Vedas to the Lord, that kindly shows your face. So, and it is covered with what? It is covered with the personal rays of his Lord, which is called the Brahma Jyoti, which is the formless aspect of the Lord. And that is the reason Bhagavatam says, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti Shabdyate. And Bhagavad Gita also says that Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya yasya ja shashvatasya dharmasya sukhayanta se kya se ki. I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So it's not that when you go to Brahma Jyoti, you don't get happiness, because that is also the coming from the body of the Lord. So it has to give you happiness. So that is the reason we call the people who go to Brahma Jyoti as Brahmanandis. So they are also in happiness. It's not that they are not in happiness. But the moment they go there, due to the association of the devotees, there is a possibility that they can go and see the Lord in the personal aspect. That's the reason it says Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are three aspects of the same absolute truth. Brahman aspect being most easily pursued by a beginner, Paramatma, the super soul, realized by those who have further progressed, and Bhagavan realization is the absolute truth. And that is what Krishna says that Matta Parataram na Anyat. O Kunti Putra Arjun, there is no truth that is beyond me. And that form, what Krishna is showing to Arjuna, is a particular form where he says this is the Vishwa Virat Swarup. And the Vishwa Virat Swarup also has a Tej. Just do you all remember that Krishna went as a Shanti Dut to Hastinapur and Duryodhan wanted to capture him. So what did Krishna do at that time?
He shows Virat too.
So when the Virat Roop was shown, Mataji, how many people could see the Lord and how many people could see the Brahma Jyoti? Yeah, take a call. Three of them could see the Lord. Bhishma Pitama,
Bhishmadev,
Dronacharya,
Dronacharya,
and
and
Vidur.
sorry,
Dronacharya
And Vidur.
and Vidur.
and Vidur.
Even Kripacharya could not see. Even Kripacharya could not see. Kripacharya was the Kul Purohit. Because again, the qualification has to be there to see the Lord in person. Otherwise, he says, like, there should be a qualification to go and meet Sheikh Mohammed. Otherwise, you are okay with the government officers and the job will be done. Still, you will still get the job done. You don't require a Sheikh Mohammed to come and approve your job. He has a system in place. It will work. But those who are very close to the Lord, those who are dear to the Lord, like suppose, for example, Donald Trump, his wife does not need a permission to go and see him. I'm sure about it. So same way, there are different various levels. There is a reason Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadente tam tathaiva bhajamiham. So when we say that, and even Shripad Adi Shankaracharya, in his Shariraka Bhashya, very clearly he speaks that Narayana para avyakto. Narayana is beyond the material creation. And that is his, view and vision. Now we will go ahead for the next one.
Prabhuji, one point that you mentioned Krishna with that baby face on banana leaf, but my understanding was that Krishna was always in a youth form, right? Navyovana form.
Yeah, he is always in the youth form in Golok Vrindavan. But in the material, when he comes into the material world, or when the point of creation begins from the Mahavishnu, so he has just shown his baby form for the attraction of the purpose. So there are two ways to look at it. Markandeya Muni wanted to understand Krishna's form. So he meditated and he said that, show me your Maya. This is there in the 12th canto. By the blessings of Shiva, he became Chiranjeev for 27 kalpas. Okay. So at that point of time, when he said he wanted to see the Maya, suddenly the entire creation got inundated in the water. There was a Mahapralaya and everything just got muddled in the water. But because he was a Chiranjeev who could not die, so he had to survive that water. So he was suffocating. So that time he took the name of the Lord, and the Lord suddenly appeared on the Vatasya Patrasya Putte Shayanam Bala Mukundam Mansa Smarami. So here Bala Mukundam Mansa Smarami can also be Vishnu and can also be Krishna, because he is having a more mukut over there. But mostly it is associated with Krishna. I will send you more details on that. We can read that.
Prabhuji, one more question. Yeah, I understood. You also mentioned about Ishwar, Maheshwar, and Parmeshwar. So Ishwar and Parmeshwar, we understand. Maheshwar, can you just tell in a couple of sentences?
See, Maheshwar is the Maheshwar, which is the title given to Lord Shiva because he is Devadi Dev. But Maheshwar can also be used for Vishnu because it's a title which is synonymous. It is like, the defense minister and the prime minister. The defense prime minister can be called as a defense minister, and defense minister also remains the defense minister. So Maha Ishwar. Ishwar means right until Indra, they all are Ishwar. And then
Oh,
when Lord Shiva comes, it is Maheshwar. But in the terminology, when we say Ishwara, like see, it says Ishwara Parama Krishna. Okay.
yeah.
And we also use the word Ishwara Uvacha. In that case, the Sanskrit verses, it says Ishwar to be Lord Shiva. Like when you say that Ishwara Uvacha Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. So that time Lord Shiva is called the Ishwar. So Ishwar is the basic title given to the people who are in the controlling position. But when the distinction has to be made between the multiple controllers, then one step above is given to Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is the master of all the Ishwaras. That includes Brahma. Brahma is also subservient to it. But when you says Param Ishwar, the supreme, then that goes beyond Maheshwar. After Maha comes Param, and that is Lord Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. That's how it is
Oh,
done, Prabhu.
thank you.
Yeah. Can we go to the next paragraph?
I'll read Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The other feature of the statement is that the supreme truth is Bhagavan, or the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead and his kingdom have already been explained. The kingdom of Godhead is not void as conceived by the impersonalists. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, including the four-handed residents of those planets, with great opulence of wealth and prosperity, and there are even airplanes and other amenities required for high-grade personalities. Therefore, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation, and he exists with all the transcendental varieties in the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas also accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as being of the Sanatana nature, or not annihilated even after the annihilation of the manifested cosmos. Those transcendental planets are of a different nature altogether, and that nature is not subjected to the rules and regulations of material creation, maintenance, or annihilation. The existence of the personality of Godhead implies the existence of the Vaikuntha Lokas, as the existence of a king implies the existence of a kingdom. In various places in Srimad Bhagavatam and in other revealed scriptures, the existence of the personality of Godhead is mentioned. For example, in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.10, Maharaja Parikshit asks, Prabhuji, I will not be able to read this properly.
Tachapi yatra purusho vishvasthita ubhavapyah muktavatma mayam mahesha shete sarva guhasya.
How does the personality of Godhead, the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, who is always freed from the influence of the illusory energy and is the controller of the same, lie in everyone's heart? Similar also is a question of Viduras. Prabhuji.
Tatvatanam bhagavam teshan katida pratishankramaha tatremaka upashiram kavusvid anushrerate.
Sridhara Swami explains that This is his notes. During the annihilation of the creation, who serves the Lord lying on the seas, etc. This means that the transcendental Lord, with all his name, fame, quality, and paraphernalias, exists eternally. The same confirmation is also in the Kasi Kanda of the Skanda Purana in connection with Dhruva criteria. It is said
Correct.
here, Dhruva
Charitra.
Karta. It is said here, said there,
न चावन्यते अपि यद् भक्ता महातयां प्रलयादपि अतोच्युतो अखिले लोके स एक स्वर्गो वयः.
even the devotees of the personality of Godhead are not annihilated during the period of the entire annihilation of the material world, not to speak of the Lord himself. The Lord is ever existent in all three stages of material changes.
We'll hold it here.
Okay. Jai Prabhupada.
Yeah. So then here it says just go back to the upper levels again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here Parikshit Maharaj is asking about the Lord's personal features. So it says that the personality of Godhead, the causes of creation, maintenance, annihilation, is always freed from the influence of illusory energy and is the controller of the same. So we have to understand that Krishna is not controlled by Maya, but in fact Maya is controlled by Krishna. That is the reason Krishna says, Daivi Yesha Gunamai Mama Maya Durattaya. Oh Arjuna, this Maya of mine is Daivi. She is divine, but she is very difficult. Mamevai prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Now, if you go and see, just a minute, I will give you one more verse which talks about Krishna not being subservient to Maya. In fact, it is other way around. Yeah. So here he says that yeah. Tribir Gunamayir Bhavair. It is 7.13 Bhagavad Gita. Ebi Sarvam Idam Jagat Mohitam Nabi Janati Mamebhya Paramavyayam. He says that deluded by the three modes of nature. See, we are all under the control of Maya, and Maya keeps us under the control by using the Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. And it says that deluded by the three modes of nature, passion, goodness, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who I am. I am above the modes and inexhaustible. So if he is above the modes, so he is inexhaustible, means he is Avyaya, means he is eternally there. Most importantly, he is above the modes, means when we say that, Subal, can you help me with that verse where we are controlled by the Maya as per like Katputlis? Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaram iti manyate. I know the first line.
3.27.
Yeah. So the first Prakarte Kriyamanani. Absolutely. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So when we say Prakrite Kriyamanani, so Prakrite Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasha. So according to the gunas, she plays with us. Now here in this verse, Krishna says, Mohitam Nabe Janate Mam Ebhya Param Avyam. I am supreme. Again, I use the word Param over here. Krishna is using that Mam Ebhya Param Avyayam. I am the supreme and I am inexhaustible. So the moment you read Bhagavad Gita, you will come to know Krishna's position is very clear. Matta parataram nanyat, aham sarvasya prabhavo, brahmabhuta prasannatma na kshochati na kankshati. Again, coming to the Parabrahma and the Brahman. When we say aham brahmasmi, that I am the spirit soul. And there is also Brahma Jyoti. The point of reaching the basic understanding and the basic happiness is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. The moment you reach the Brahma Jyoti level, you become Prasannatma. You become happy. Na kshachati na kankshati means you are neither desire of anything nor you are pained about anything. Na kshachati na. But most importantly, sama sarveshu bhuteshu. You should be equal to every bhakti. Then Krishna says, Mad bhakti labate param. So what is the ultimate gift you will get? Mad bhakti. Now bhakti cannot be done to impersonal Brahma Jyoti. When you use the word bhakti, means there is love and affection, there is a correspondence of activities. And that Krishna says that I will give it to you. So if you go and understand this, can you just go a little bit up? Can you scroll? See, even it talks about the Vaikuntha Loka, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation. So when you see that the Lord is sitting in the Vaikuntha, and because he is in the Vaikuntha, the Brahma Jyoti comes from there. So beyond the Brahma Jyoti factor, there is the Lord's Vaikuntha planetary system, which can be, just a minute. I will just share something. Can I share? Can you see? Can you see the chart?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you see this is the Brahma Jyoti. And beyond Brahma Jyoti is the Vaikuntha planetary system, from where you see each planet is glowing on its own. There is no sun required, no moon required, nothing required. Na Surya, na Shashanko, na Pavakaha. No electricity, no sun, no moon. They are self-illuminated planets. And this is the complete Vaikuntha. You see Ayodhya is shining. You see Sankarshan is shining. And everything is shining. See? So this is the Brahma Jyoti. So inside the Brahma Jyoti, there is variegatedness, and this is what is exactly trying to understand. Yeah, you can share your screen now, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, will you share the picture later?
Yeah, I have already sent the picture to Subal actually.
I will share it in the group, Uday Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so you can continue reading now. Next. The impersonality adduces no activity in the Supreme.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll read. The impersonalist adduce no activity in the Supreme. But in this discussion between Brahma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is said to have activities also, as he has his form and quality. The activities of Brahma and other demigods during the maintenance of the creation are to be understood as the activities of the Lord. The king or the head executive of a state may not be seen in the government offices, for he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet, it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. The personality of Godhead is never formless. In the material world, he may not be visible in his personal form to the less intelligent class of men, and therefore he may sometimes be called formless, but actually he is always in his eternal form, in his Vaikuntha planets as well as in other planets of the universes, as different incarnations. The example of the sun is very appropriate in this connection. The sun in the night may not be visible to the eyes of men in the darkness, but the sun is visible wherever it has risen. That the sun is not visible to the eyes of the inhabitants of a particular part of the earth does not mean that the sun has no form. In Bharat Aranyaka Upanishad 1.4.1, there is the hymn Atma Atmaivad.
Atmavedam agra aseta purusha vedaha. Yeah, this
This
mantra
mantra indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, even before the appearance of the Purusa, incarnation. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.18, it is said that Lord Krishna is Purushottama because he is the Supreme Purusha, transcendental even to the Purusha Aksara and the Purusha Kasra.
Shara,
The
Shara.
Akshara Purusha or the Mahavishnu throws his glance over Prakriti or material nature. But the Purushottama existed even before that. The Bharhat Aranyaka Upanishad therefore confirms the statement of the Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Person, Purushottama. In some of the Vedas, it is also said that in the beginning only the impersonal Brahma existed. However, according to this verse, the impersonal Brahma, which is the glowing effulgence of the body of the Supreme Lord, may be called the immediate cause, but the cause of all causes or the remote cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's impersonal feature is existent in the material world because by material senses or material eyes, the Lord cannot be seen or perceived. One has to spiritualize the senses before one can expect to see or perceive the Supreme Lord. But he is always engaged in his personal capacity and he is eternally visible to the inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka face to face. Therefore, he is materially impersonal, just as the executive head of the state may be impersonal in the government offices. Although he is not impersonal in the government office, similarly, the Lord is not impersonal in his adab, which is always Kuhukam, as stated in the very beginning of Bhagavatam. Therefore, both the impersonal and personal features of the Lord are acceptable, as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. This personality of Godhead is very emphatically explained in the Bhagavad Gita in connection with the verse Brahmona hi Paritishatham.
Brahmano
Bhagavad Gita
pratishtha.
Brahmanoi Pratishtaham. Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Therefore, in all ways, the confidential part of spiritual knowledge is realized of the personality of Godhead and not in his impersonal Brahman features. One should therefore have the ultimate aim of realization not in the impersonal features, but in the personal features of the absolute truth. The example of the sky within the pot and the sky outside the pot may be helpful to the students for his realization of the all-pervading quality of the cosmic consciousness of the absolute truth. But that does not mean that the individual part and parcel of the Lord becomes the supreme by a false claim. It means only that the conditioned soul is a victim of the illusionary energy in their last snare. To claim to be one with the cosmic consciousness of the Lord is the last trap set by the illusionary energy or Daivata Maya, even in the impersonal existence of the Lord. As it is in the material creation, one should aspire for personal realization of the Lord. And that is the meaning of Paskad Ahim Yad It's pronunciation will be very bad, Prabhuji, for this.
Instead, paschadham yadetachya yo avishyasya yam. Brahmaji also
Brahmaji
accepted the
also
truth.
accepted the same truth when he was instructing Narada. He said, Prabhuji, if you can read that.
Yeah. Soyam te bhutastata tata Bhagwan Vishwa Bhavana.
Okay. There is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Therefore, this verse, Aham Yava, never indicates anything other than the Supreme Lord. And one should therefore follow the path of the Brahma Sampradaya, or the path from Brahmaji to Narada to Vyasadev, etc., and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari or Lord Krishna. This very confidential instruction to the pure devotee of the Lord was also given to Arjuna and to Brahma in the beginning of the creation. The demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions. The different elemental ingredients of material creation, as well as the multifarious energies, also may be the same personality of Godhead. But the root of all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One should be attached to the root of everything rather than believed by the branches and leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
So I think I had already explained about the official part, about the offices, about the government, about the king, and about the ministers who run the show. So that has been taken care of. Anything that you want to understand from the last verse, last paragraph, which says that demigod like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Indra, Chandra, Varun, undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions. The different elemental ingredients of material creation as well as multifarious energy also may be the same personality of Godhead. So what would be that you would like to know in this? Since you are reading and hearing that, any points to be discussed?
प्रभु एक जो हिंदी में मैंने ये पढ़ा है, पुरुष अक्षर और पुरुष शर, ये क्या मतलब हुआ?
Akshar means infallible and Shar means fallible. So Akshar stands for Narayana. And Purush Shar matlab his creation in the part of the soul, we souls. But we are not infallible, we are not Achyuta. We are fallible. So Kshar, Akshar. Can you just go back to that statement? It's a good point. Shar and Akshar. So the Akshar Purush is Mahavishnu. Yeah. And there is Shara Purush. Shara means, Purusha Kshara means, we are also little Purushas because we are also enjoyers. Purush का actual मतलब होता है enjoy करने वाला. One who enjoys is a Purusha. And Supreme Purusha or Purushottama is Sri Krishna. And Akshar Purush is Mahavishnu. So that's how it goes.
Okay.
Prabhu, sorry to add this point without your permission. Sushil Prabhu, this 15th chapter, 16th, 17th, and 18th verse ka purport pado. You will get the answer to this one.
15 chapters Bhagavad Gita na
Here
Prabhu?
लिखा है, yeah. You
16th.
can go there straight away. You can go there straight away, no problem. Yeah, see there. So it says that Yasmaksharam atitoham aksharaadapi chottamaha so asmi loke vedecha pratithat purushottamaha. So you can read the meaning. I think you can spend some time on this. We can go to the see here it is. He is both fallible and infallible. देखिए, fallible means one who is can fall down, and infallible means and he is beyond both. So we are fallibles. We are all fallibles. Even Brahma is fallible sometimes. So Brahma tak everyone is fallible. So we can go to the next verse. Not this one. Back to the 34, verse number 34 in Bhagavatam. Yeah. That is the reason Krishna's Dham is also called Akshardham, which you see the Swaminarayan temples is called as Akshardham. Akshar means that cannot fall down. Text 34. Rite artham yat pratiyate na pratiyate chatmani tad vidyadatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. O Brahma, whatever
Hare
appears to
Krishna.
be of any value, if it is within the without relation to me, has no reality, know it to my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in the darkness. You can start the purport.
Hare Krishna. Purport. In the previous verse, it has already been concluded that in any stage of the cosmic manifestation, its appearance, its sustenance, its growth, its interactions of different energies, its deterioration and its disappearance, all has its basic relation with the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, whenever there is forgetfulness of this prime relation with the Lord, and whenever things are accepted as real without being related to the Lord, that conception is called a product of the illusory energy of the Lord. Because nothing can exist without the Lord, it should be known that the illusory energy is also an energy of the Lord. The right conclusion of dovetailing everything in relation with the Lord is called Yoga Maya, or the energy of union, and the wrong conception of detaching a thing from its relationship with the Lord is called the Lord's Daivi Maya or Mahamaya. Both the Mayas also have connections with the Lord because nothing can exist without being related to Him. As such, the wrong conception of detaching relationships from the Lord is not false but illusory. Misconceiving one thing for another thing is called illusion. For example, accepting a rope as a snake is illusion, but the rope is not false. The rope as it exists in the front of the illusion person is not at all false, but the acceptance is illusory. Therefore, the wrong conception of accepting this material manifestation as being divorced from the energy of the Lord is illusion, but it is not false. And this illusory conception is called the reflection of the reality in the darkness of ignorance. Anything that appears as apparently not being produced out of my energy is called Maya. The conception of the living entity is formless, or that the Supreme Lord is formless, is also illusion. In Bhagavad Gita 2.12, it was said by the Lord in the midst of the battlefield that the warrior standing in front of Arjuna, Arjuna himself, and even the Lord had all existed before. They were existing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and they would all continue to be individual personalities in the future also, even after the annihilation of the present body, and even after being liberated from the bondage of material existence. In all circumstances, the Lord and the living entities are individual personalities, and the personal features of both the Lord and living beings are never abolished. Only the influence of the illusory energy, the reflection of light in the darkness, can by the mercy of the Lord be removed. In the material world, the light of the sun is also not independent, nor is that of the moon. The real source of light is the Brahmajyoti, which diffuses light from the transcendental body of the Lord, and the same light is reflected in varieties of light. The light of the sun, the light of the moon, the light of fire, or the light of electricity. So the identity of the self is as being unconnected with the Supreme Self. The Lord is also illusion, and the false claim, I am the Supreme, is the lost illusory snare of the same Maya or the external energy of the Lord. The Vedanta Sutra in the very beginning affirms that everything is born from the Supreme, and thus explained in the previous verse, all individual living entities are born from the energy of the Supreme Living Being, the personality of Godhead. Brahma himself was born from energy of the Lord, and all other living entities are born from the energy of the Lord through the agency of Brahma. None of them has any existence without being dovetailed with the Supreme Lord. The independence of the individual living entity is not real independence, but is just the reflection of the real independence existing in the Supreme Being, the Lord. The false claim of supreme independence by the conditioned souls is illusion, and this conclusion is admitted in this verse. Persons with poor fund of knowledge become illusioned, and therefore the so-called scientists, physiologists, empiric philosophers, etc., become dazzled by the glaring reflection of the sun, moon, electricity, etc., and deny the existence of the Supreme Lord, putting forward theories and different speculations about the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of everything material. The medical practitioner may deny the existence of the soul in the physiological bodily construction of an individual person, but he cannot give life to a dead body, even though all the mechanisms of the body exist even after death. The psychologist the psychologist makes a serious study of the psychological conditions of the brain, as if the construction of the cerebral lump were the machine of the functioning mind, but in the dead body, the psychologist cannot bring back the function of the mind. These scientific studies of the cosmic manifestation or the bodily construction independent of the Supreme Lord are different reflective intellectual gymnastics only. But at the end, they are all illusion and nothing more. All such advancement of science and knowledge in the present context of material civilization is but an action of the covering influence of the illusory energy. The illusory energy has two phases of existence, namely the covering influence and the throwing influence. By throwing influence, the illusory energy throws the living entities into the darkness of ignorance, and by the covering influence, she covers the eyes of men with a poor fund of knowledge about the existence of the Supreme Person who enlightened the Supreme Individual Living Being, Brahma. The identity of Brahma with the Supreme Lord is never claimed herein, and therefore such a foolish claim by the man with a poor fund of knowledge is another display of the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 16.18 to 20 that demonic persons who deny the existence of the Lord are thrown more and more into the darkness of ignorance, and thus such demonic persons transmigrate life after life without any knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sane man, however, is enlightened in the disciplic succession of Brahma from Brahmaji, who was personally instructed by the Lord in the disciplic succession from Arjuna, who was personally instructed by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. He accepts this statement of the Lord, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The sane man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Although the reflector energy of the Lord displays various illusions to the eyes of persons with a poor fund of knowledge, the sane person knows clearly that the Lord can act even from far, far beyond our vision by his different energies, just as fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. In the medical science of the ancient sages, known as Ayurveda, there is a definite acceptance of the Lord's supremacy in the following words. Jigad yoni anischasya chit anandaika rupina pamsto stitir prakrit nitya pratichaiva bhavasvata. Aksanepi chaitanya yogena paramatmana akrod vishwam akilam anityam nataka kritim. There is one supreme person who is progenitor of this cosmic manifestation and whose energy acts as Prakriti or the material nature, dazzling like a reflection. By such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of living energy of the Lord, and the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or psychologist in the drama of Prakriti, while the sane person knows Prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. By such a conclusion, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita, it is clear that the living entities are also display of the Lord's superior energy, Para Prakriti, just as the material world is display of the Lord's inferior energy, Apara Prakriti. The superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor of the energy, or the fire and the heat. Fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. This simple thing is not understood by the man with a poor fund of knowledge who falsely claims that the fire and heat are the same. This energy by the fire, namely heat, is explained here as a reflection and not directly fire. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord Himself. Being the reflection of the Lord, the existence of the living entity is dependent on the Supreme Lord, who is the original light. This material energy may be compared to darkness, as actually it is darkness, and the activities of the living entities in the darkness are reflections of the original light. The Lord should be understood by the context of this verse. Non dependence of both the energies of the Lord is explained as Maya or illusion. No one can make a solution of the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. Similarly, no one can come out of material existence simply by the reflected light of the common man. One has to receive the light from the original light itself. The reflection of sunlight in the darkness is unable to drive out the darkness, but the sunlight outside the reflection can drive out the darkness completely. In darkness, no one can see the things in a room. Therefore, a person in the dark is afraid of snakes and scorpions, although there may not be such things. But in the light, the things in the room can be clearly seen, and the fear of snakes and scorpions is at once removed. Therefore, one has to take shelter of the light of the Lord, as in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the reflective personalities who have no touch with the Lord. No one should hear Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who does not believe in the existence of the Lord. Such a person is already doomed, and any association with such a doomed person makes associator also doomed. According to the Padma Purana, within the material compass, there are innumerable material universes, and all of them are full of darkness. Any living being, beginning from the Brahmas, there are innumerable Brahmas in innumerable universes. To the insignificant ant are all born in darkness, and they require factual light from the Lord to see Him directly. Just as the sun can be seen only by the direct light of the sun. No lamp or man-made torchlight, however powerful it may be, can help one see the sun. The sun reveals itself. Therefore, the action of different energies of the Lord or the personality of Godhead Himself, can be realized by the light manifested by the causeless mercy of the Lord. The impersonalists say that God cannot be seen. God can be seen by the light of God and not by man-made speculations. Here, this is light specifically mentioned as Vidyat, which is an order by the Lord to Brahma. This direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of His internal energy, and this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Not only Brahma, but anyone who may be graced by the Lord to see such merciful direct internal energy can also realize the personality of Godhead without any mental speculation. Jai Shri
Hare
Ram.
Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for going through such a long purport, but it is important. So we will go from reverse now. According to the Padma Puran, and within the material compass, there are innumerable universes, and all of them are full of darkness. That is right. The moment the material world is created, it is full of darkness. And just a minute, I can share the Vaikuntha chart. So you see, yeah. The moment you come to the material world, it is full of darkness. See the color over here, it's black. It's completely black. All the universes are dark. Only when Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into the Brahmanda, he gives the knowledge of creation to Brahmadev, who is sitting over here. And there is a pole star over here. At that point of time, the sun is created by Brahma. And then you have the Surya Dev. This is the sun. So the sun is going around the periphery and enlightening the entire thing. So even Surya is called Surya Narayan because he comes from Aniruddha. The fourth aspect of the Lord is Aniruddha. So within the material world also, it says that the sun, the moon, the reflection. So it says that the scientists, they say that sun is made out of so much of gaseous things. And here it says that the reflection of the sun, moon, electricity, they become dazzled. The philosophers, they become dazzled. They say that there is no Lord, there is only a creation. Like, for example, there is a statement that everything came out of the Big Bang. Now, it's highly difficult to digest that a magnitude of this kind can come out of a Big Bang theory. Just put your thoughts and see that what kind of a Big Bang was there, that only once that Big Bang created so many good things, and afterward, whatever Big Bang happened, it's like, they say that it's kind of an explosion. And we know that explosion leads to destruction and not creation. But that was only that one time that Big Bang happened. Only once. Under whose instruction, under whose guidance, nobody knows. Did it happen automatically? Nobody knows. And we are impelled to think that this is how it works. But you see that the Lord is systematically telling, whatever is created, if it is not in touch with me, it is Maya. So
Prabhu,
this is,
that
yeah.
the other problem of that Big Bang theory is they are unable to explain where did the elements which caused the Big Bang and where
Yeah.
did the energy which exploded, where did that come from? Who created that? There is no answer to that.
They say that it was an automated process. Now that automation process has got an ambiguity in that, because you rightly said that, Prabhu, because Sir Isaac Newton had a similar problem with his best scientist friend who was an atheist. And he always believed that the world came on its own. And a few days later, Isaac Newton created a model of the world and kept it in his hall room so that the friend will come and see. When the friend came and saw that, he was very impressed by the model. He said, wow, this is beautiful. And the question next asked that who made it and who was the creator? And Isaac Newton's answer was same. He said it came on its own. He said, how could you be so foolish that I did not see this yesterday, but today I am seeing it in your house. So definitely somebody made it. He said, I am only answering your question that you have been telling everyone that the world came on its own. So the question applies there also, that who is the creator? And everything cannot come on its own. The colors of the butterfly, the aromas of the flowers, the colors of the flowers. Who is the artist who has designed it? So one has to understand that the basic thing is that if I say that, now for example, when I show you this lamp, you can only see the effulgence. But beyond the effulgence, there is a form. And in that form of bulb, the light is coming from the electricity diva, and diva is being run by a person. So it will be very immature for me to say that the light is there, but there is nobody beyond the light. So that is the reason this entire chart was made, to give an understanding as to how it works. Now, also when we say that the dead body cannot come alive, so many people, they say that we do not know where the science has reached. But I remember people telling that we can use the heart, we can use the eyes, but then that also has got a limitation. And when we say life comes from life, and they say that life comes from chemicals. So our question to them is, or rather our request, I would not question them because they are all intellectual people and we are not as intelligent as them. So my request to them would be that as soon as a man dies, not a living man, as soon as a man dies, can his sperm be removed from the testicles and a woman can be impregnated? Try it out. Or as soon as a woman dies, can the egg be removed from her body and a fertilization can take place in the test tube. You wouldn't find that happening. You require a live person and a live man and a live woman to have a child or to have a birth. So it goes to that level. So when you say you are made out of chemicals, chemicals don't give birth. This entire concept of this particular shloka is that we cannot deny the existence of the Lord into everything. That is the reason we call him Sarva Karana Karanam. We call him as a Sarva Karana Karanam. So the people with poor fund of knowledge become illusioned, and therefore the so-called scientists, psychologists, empiric philosophers become dazzled by the glaring reflection. So they are only seeing the world in action. They are not seeing the brain behind it. And when you fail to recognize the brain behind it, we become deluded. Another concept of Darwin's theory. My only request to the intellectual people out there is that at what point of time monkey started to become man? Who said that monkey can become man? At what point of time it was concluded that we have enough manpower population, monkey should stop becoming man? And now why monkeys are not becoming man? And tomorrow, due to the war or something, if all the human beings die, who will tell the monkey to become the man?
Good one, Prabhu.
My only request is that I'm a fool. I agree that I'm a fool. I do not know anything. I'm not as intelligent as Darwin. So I just want these 6 questions to be answered so that I am secure that even if I pass away and I don't have a child tomorrow, or my child does not deliver another child, पिंडदान करने के लिए कोई तो रहेगा. At least a monkey can be called and make a pindan. And if you are doing a pindan to the ancestors, your monkeys, anyway, you're not solving their problem because they will continue to remain monkey. So just have some understanding that it cannot be happening that way. Man and monkey, they are like different apartments. They are subsisted and existed together, coexisted. Depending upon the karma levels of the human being, they were ordained certain bodies. And even Darwin himself is not sure because he's also using the word, I presume, I assume. Science is not about presumption and assumption. Science is all about, this is it, black and white. So there are many unquestioned answers which we are believing because Stephen Hawking said that, or because so-and-so said that. But we are failing to understand that Vedic science is the topmost science of all, and the answers given in it are completely in relevance with what we do. But it's only that we don't understand the language because our great Jawaharlal Nehru said Sanskrit is a dead man's language. So the moment the Sanskriti was removed out of our system in 1947, now we are helpless without mother. Look at the local Arabs. They take so much pride in speaking in Arabic. And all their scriptures are in Arabic. So they are in sync with that. Whatever their interpretation, that's the next question to be answered. But what I'm telling is that once you start reading the Shastras and the Vedas under the proper understanding, with Krishna in the center, everything becomes easy. Being impersonalist or being a Brahmavadi is not a problem, it's not a fault, because that is the first step of understanding. And that is acceptable to Srila Prabhupada. But accepting that Krishna has no form, or the Lord has no form, he is formless and he cannot take a form. And that form, what it takes is a material form, and after giving up, he becomes Nara, impersonal again. That is a little bit difficult to digest. That why so many restrictions on God? If there is restriction, then he is not God, because then he cannot be omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. One aspect of Vishnu is what? Sarvavyapi, and that is the formlessness. Vishwa ka anu, wo jo kan kan mein basne wala Bhagwan. So that is how it goes, because rather than telling that, the false claim of the supreme independence by conditioned soul is illusion. Many people say, Prabhu, I am independent. I don't believe I should be controlled by anybody. मैं नए जमाने का हूँ, मुझे सब कुछ मालूम है. But try to understand one thing. Are you really independent? One tooth pain, one bout of cold, and we are on the bed. The independence is gone. In fact, that virus who attacked the body is more independent than us, because he can put you on your feet. Our independence was clamped for 2.5 years when coronavirus came. Where was the supreme independence? That I am not being controlled by Maya. Durga Devi she sent one virus. She said, okay, I am not coming. I will not kill you. Let my agent come down. And we were all hiding behind the houses, taking this injection, that injection, putting mask forever in our life. When we talk, we don't understand that we are controlled by so many factors. Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Mandaha, Sumanda Mata, Mandabhagya, Upadrita, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. How many? 21 items total now? 18 items. And still we say we are independent. That is the reason the Lord says that when you are not in touch with me, you are in Maya. When you are in touch with me, you are enlightened. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na Kshochati na Kankshati. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lavate Ram. So the Vedanta Sutra also says that everything is born from the Supreme Lord. Janmadhyasya yatonvayad Janma Adi Yasya. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Vedanta Sutra's question is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that I am in the human form of body, I should understand who I am and who is the Lord. So when that question arises, who is the Lord? Then it says Janma Yasya Yatonvayad Itaritas Charitesh Abhignyaswarat. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaya Muhyanti Yat Sureyaha. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo. Yatra Trisarga Amrusha. Damna Swena Sadanurustakukam Satyam Param Dhimahi. That Satyam Param Dhimahi, that Satyam Param is who is that Satyam Param? That is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Because you start with the statement Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So who is Vasudevaya? Is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And when Krishna tells Ekamshina Sthito Jagataha, O Kunti Putra Arjun, by my one Amsha I am managing the whole material creation, that is this Amsha. Ekamshina Sthite Jagata. This one Amsha of Mahavishnu who is so far away from Krishna. See, where is Krishna? He is in the Golok Vrindavan with his beloved Radharani. Then comes Balram. Then comes Sankarshan. Then comes Narayan. Then comes Dvitiya Sankarshan. And from Dvitiya Sankarshan comes Mahavishnu. And then from Mahavishnu comes Ramadevi, Shambhu and Maya. And then the material creation starts. And this is all below the Brahma Jyoti. So even going to Brahma Jyoti is not easy. So this is how Prabhu the entire thing works over here in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said there was never a time when you were not there, I were not there, and these people were not there. We all were there. It's only that I remember all of them and you don't remember. It's a beautiful verse of Bhagavad Gita. It says, Natva Yehevame Jatu Nashanam, Natvam Neme Janadipa, Nachaiva na Bhavishyama, Sarvavaya Mata Paramam. 212. Never there was a time when I did not exist, you did not exist, nor this paying things. Nor in future, nor they shall cease to exist. So we are all individual souls, and there is a Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna, who also takes expansions as Narayana and other avatars. So the avatar is over here. Here it is, see. This is the Swayam Rupa, then it becomes Balram, then he comes as Prabhav with all the queens of Dwarka and the gopis, and then Ekatma Rupa, and then here he comes as Krishna in Mathura, and then you have the Vilas, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyuman, Aniruddha. From Sankarshan comes Narayana, from Narayana comes Vasudeva Sankarshan, and then from that Sankarshan comes Purusha Avatar. So where are we now? We are nowhere in the existence, but we are proud about our intelligence and our knowledge and our current education system that we know everything. And based on that partial knowledge and partial understanding, we claim that we understand who is God. We claim that God is having form or God is formless and all that is there. But we have to understand that when Krishna says that Janma Adi Yasya Yatanvayadi Tiritas Charateshva Vigneswara. Now who can understand that? Dharma Projita Kaitva Atra Sarma Nirmatsaranam Satam. Nirmatsara. Nirmatsara means one who is not having any envy in his mind. If we have envy, we cannot understand Krishna because that is directly opposite to the Lord. So this is how it works, Prabhu, this particular verse. I hope you all got the gist of it. Unless you have any doubts, you can ask me.
प्रभु ये जो अभी चार्ट आपने दिया है ना, इसको दिस इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट, आई टेल यू, दिस क्लैरिफाइज लॉट ऑफ डाउट्स.
Yeah, because
जो
we are
मेरा लास्ट टाइम का क्वेश्चन था कि फर्स्ट संकर्षण, फर्स्ट चतुर्व्यूह और सेकंड चतुर्व्यूह, वो शायद इसमें ज्यादा रिप्लाई हो रहा है.
हाँ, there are, see, every yantra, every dham has got one chaturvyuha. So this is the Adi Chaturvyuha, the first one. And then Narayana comes, he creates his own Chaturvyuha. ये देखो. See, Narayana has his own Chaturvyuha. And then this Sankarshan is the in charge of material creation, who expands and sends one Amsha as Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. So that's how it goes, Prabhu. Then Karanodakshaya Vishnu में से आता है Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu creates Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh for one particular Brahmanda, out of which Brahma is here already, Vishnu is here, and Mahesh will come. So this is the personality. After creating Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, he goes back to Vaikuntha, Narayana, and he comes over here. Here he sits. Yeah, is that okay? Any other doubts?
नहीं, डाउट्स नेक्स्ट टाइम पूछो प्रभु, अभी तो आज तो वी आर सो मच इन इट के वी हैव टू अगेन रीड इट एंड देन फाइंड आउट.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime you can post it on the group also. You're most welcome, Prabhu.
Prabhu, one question, meaning especially in the interest of Pradeep, he had certain questions, right? So one question can be asked is, irrespective of who's superior, form or formless, okay, why is it necessary to worship the form, understand about the form, understand the relationship, understand the superiority of form over formless? Why is it important?
So, Prabhu, one thing, reaching Brahma Jyoti itself is a big thing, Prabhu, first. The only mindset that we should have after, even in the formlessness, the mindset that we should have is that this is not the end of it, there could be more to it, or this is the end of it, there could be no more to it. Our four Kumaras and Shukdev Goswami were also Brahmanandis. They were happy understanding Krishna in formlessness. But when Shukdev Goswami's father Vyasa felt that I should give him the complete knowledge and then let him take a call, formless or formlessness. And when that is the time he spoke this Bhagavatam to him. Because he was a Vedantist. And the moment he listened to the formlessness, the form of the Lord and everything, which is the source of formlessness, he automatically accepted that superior thing and went away there. Same thing happened to the four Kumaras, who were Brahmanandis. They did not say that God has a form or God has no form. They were happy in their position. They are understanding their service. So when you do not make an offense to the lotus feet of the Lord, telling that you cannot have a form and your form can only be taken by material aspects or material ingredients, or that's a material form. The Lord himself makes a provision for you to understand. So what happened? When the four Kumaras, they reached the Vaikuntha, they were given some Tulsi Dal and Tulsi Manjaris for smelling. When they smelled the Tulsi Dal, they could realize that this had been offered to the personality of Godhead, and they got attracted to the form of the Lord. So formlessness, yes, it is the beginning. The need to be in form. Why to need to be in form? Because when you have a personal, what you say, association, otherwise Madhurya, Vatsalya, Dasya, Sakhya. But these four relationships, I did not take the fifth one because that is just an existence and there is no reciprocation. Jiva by nature is reciprocative by nature. I just want to ask one question over here. I may say that I am in love with my wife, but I do not know her form. Or you may say you're in love with somebody, but you do not know the form. The moment you want to reciprocate your feelings, there has to be a form. So what happens from the impersonal is they say, yeah, because the Lord sees you do not understand the superiority of the formlessness, he takes the form and comes and gives you that association. But eventually he is formless. Actually, he is not formless. With our material knowledge, we cannot understand what is that form. The form is there, but it is not within the what is the capacity of these five senses because it is having a limitation. For example, sun has a form. Can I ask a question? Does sun has a form?
Yes.
But when at 12 o'clock on the Abhijit and the top of the head, can you see that form
No,
with
because
naked eyes?
with the light we cannot.
But the sun is so nice that in the rising and the setting setup, it shows you its form.
Correct.
The sun is rising and when the sun is setting, you can see the form.
Yes.
So same way, Krishna out of his mercy can show you his form. The form is there, but it is for, that is the reason the 15th verse of Upanishad is very much directing us to telling that, can you show your mukham please? Can you please show your face? Because, and in the end, how many of you have done a Damodar Aarti recently in this
We
group?
have done, Prabhu.
Yes,
So you
Hare
are doing
Krishna.
Aarti in your home? Yeah. So it says, Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Batano Grehanesham Mamagnyam Te Dakshi Drishya. Grehanesham Mamagnyam Te Dakshi Drishya means it says, oh my dear Lord, can you show me your beautiful form? Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prapodukha Jalabdi Magan Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Batano Grehanesham Mamagnyam Te Dakshi Drishya. He says, Grehanesha means Anugrahit Karo. Can I see your form of Ananta and Damodara? Because right now I am dazzled by the effulgence of your body, which is the Brahma Jyoti. So those who want to get connected to the Lord in person, the personal form comes. Those who are happy with impersonal, the Lord lets them remain impersonal. But those who say that God cannot have form and his form is Maya, they are called Mayavadis. So there are three aspects to it. Being a Brahmavadi is not a fault, but telling that the God can never have a form and the form taken is material or Maya becomes Mayavadi. So it is better to remain Brahmavadi and not be offender of the Lord by becoming Mayavadi. Because I will just conclude with the last verse where it says that the Devtas who know the Lord so closely, it says in 10:3:32. 10:3:32. I'll just show that to you.
In Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji?
No, Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam, Prabhu.
10, Canto 10, chapter 3, verse 32.
Canto 3, Prabhuji?
प्रभु it is not
Canto 10.
10:3 10:4 होगा प्रभु
10:3, Prabhu. Prayers by the demigods है.
तो वो कुछ दूसरा है प्रभु वो वर्स
Check 10:2 then. 10:2 देखो फिर. Check 10:2:32.
हाँ prayers by demigods is 10:2
10:2:32 में आई है.
yes correct 10:32 shall I
So in 10:32 the Devatas are talking, Prabhu. Devatas क्या बोल रहे हैं? These Devatas, they know the Lord very closely. 32. So it says, Ye अन्य अरविंदाक्ष विमुति मानिनास त्वया असत भवाद अविशुद्ध बुद्धया आरुह्य कृच्छेन परम पदम ततः पतन्त्यदो अनादृत युष्माद. Just go to the translation. Someone may say that aside from the devotees who are always seeking the shelter, there are those who are not devotees but have accepted different process of attaining salvation. What is the different process? There are only two processes, Sakar and Nirakar. Here it is talking about Nirakar. What happens to them? So in the answer to them, Lord Brahma and the demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerity and penance to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure, they fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. Now this is been spoken by Brahma and the Devatas. And please remember one thing, just one thing. I'm sure everybody over here respects Ganesha. You know who is Ganpati? Everybody knows Ganesha?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, he is the
Yeah.
god of knowledge.
Knowledge. And he is the one who has written all this Shastra. So if there is a dispute or anything wrong, he would not have written it. So at least that much respect we have to give Ganesha. That whatever he has written for us through Vyasa is correct. Because I'm sure none of us are above Ganesh in our understanding and knowledge and education. So when he has written this, there was a treatise between Ganesh, Brahma, and Vyasa. So Vyasa said that whatever I recite, you have to think, understand, and write. So Ganesh has understood everything and written. And Ganesh also said, wherever you say wrong, I know the truth, I will write. So when Krishna says, Brahmana Pratisthaham, I am the source of Brahman. Or when here it says that this is how it is, that they fall down. That is because of the Avishuddha Buddhaya. So we have to take step by step, have patience, make a point to understand the Acharya's writings and then slowly go ahead with that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Wonderful, Prabhu. All excellent class, like always. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Anybody has a quick question?
I have just put can you see my screen now? Isha 15.
Yes.
Hiranyamayana patrena satya sapihitam mukham tattam pushana apurvam satya dharmaya drishtaye. Can someone read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee.
That's it. This is Isha Upanishad written by Vyasa and written by Ganesha. So Ganesh did not say, I have an objection, my dear Vyasa. God is formless. Ganesha did not say that. He just wrote it because he knew the truth. And then Mahabharata was written by Ganesh. And in Mahabharata, in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Brahmanoi Pratisthaham. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, eternal, and constitutes the portion of ultimate happiness. That is the reason we tell Brahmanandi. Going to Brahma Jyoti is also happiness because it's not easy to achieve. So I think it was a very interesting class today. And I appreciate that so many people joined to make it a success. Thank you very much for keeping your faith in me and allowing me to come and be with you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Many,
thank you
many
very
thanks.
much.
Many thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu. Thank you so
Krishna,
much for the
Prabhu.
wonderful class.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Thank
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Dandavat pranam.
Thanks everybody, Prabhu. Thank you for